All right, it's Home Fire Sprinkler Week. So to kick off Home Fire Sprinkler Week, I wanted to talk a little bit about an NFPA 13D home fire sprinkler system. Here's the riser for my home fire sprinkler system. I've got everything in here in this cabinet, and I'll show you up here is one of the sprinklers in my basement. And NFPA 13D, again, it's different than an NFPA 13 system, which you'd see in more of like a commercial property, because it doesn't provide property protection. It's just trying to give occupants 10 minutes before flashover occurs to be able to get out of a home. And it does that in a lot of different ways. So the first difference is going to be that you're only required to have a 10-minute water supply. In some cases, you can go down to 7 minutes of water supply, while an NFPA 13 system in a residential occupancy is going to be a 30-minute supply. Now, this is my system. It's actually fed off of my domestic water. You see my water meter right there. It's fed right off of that through a backflow preventer up to that riser. So that brings me to the next thing. An NFPA 13D system allows you to use a multi-purpose system. You can actually run your domestic water piping and your sprinkler piping all in the same piping, and that is permitted by NFPA 13D. So that's going to help reduce that cost of a system. Now you see I do have a water flow alarm connected to a notification appliance, but that is not required by NFPA 13D. As long as you've got smoke alarms in the home, you're not required to have a water flow detection. I just happened to, wanted that in my home, so I had that installed. And you'll see the allowance for sprinkler omissions. You can omit sprinklers in bathrooms that are less than 55 square foot, closets that are less than 24 square foot. So there's a lot of spaces you can omit sprinklers, including attics, and potentially entryways and things like that. So the allowance to decrease the number of sprinklers installed, mostly because those are spaces where we're not seeing deaths occur if fires occur in those spaces. And again, the cost to install those sprinklers is a lot higher. So we're trying to keep that cost down to install those sprinkler systems. And then NFPA 13D includes the allowance to do some simplified hydraulic calculations. It's basically like just filling out a form to do your calculations, doing your elevation loss, doing simplified friction loss calculations to make it pretty easy to calculate what one of these systems, how that piping needs to be. If you want to learn more about home fire sprinklers, I highly recommend checking out the Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition. Again, I'll put a link below to that in this description. And then again, if you want to learn about the different water supply options, like I said, mine's coming off my water meter. Again, all that's calculated in through a backflow preventer, but there are options to use a tank, a pump. You can even use a well. There's a lot of different water supply options for a 13 system, and that is different, or for a 13D system, and that's different than what you would see for a 13 system. So check out a blog. I got a blog below that goes over all of that, as well as a comparison table about all the differences between 13, 13R, and 13D sprinkler systems. Thank you.